Huh.
Well, hey guys, this is a Rogue lap steel. I'm going to be pulling the pickup out and putting in this Lollar pickup. It's not the original pickup that I'm taking out. It's one that's been swapped out in the process. I actually looked at the Lollar. I couldn't get any specs on what was in the case, so only my customer knows really what was going on with that pickup. So as you see there, I had a little trouble getting that cover off. I just used a suction cup on it. It turns out that the solder in this thing from the last time that pickup was worked on was quite a mess, and so I'm deciding that I'm not going to have the room to work on it inside the cavity, so I'm pulling the knob off, and I'll just pull it out the cavity and work on it where I can get to it. So I'm going to grab my little, helping hands thing there and just hold it upright and get a good look at it, see what I'm doing. It's pretty gobby. It's hard to tell just exactly how ugly those solder joints are in this video. They're pretty gunky though. They're not shiny at all, very dry. Trying to demonstrate there that my solder sucker was plugged up, and it eventually shot about an inch long chunk of solder out, so it was quite plugged up. Trying to figure out what's what and where it's at, and making sure that I know what I want to put back together. So right there, that capacitor and resistor you see, that's it's a treble bleed circuit, so when you turn the volume down it doesn't bleed off treble. So I'm pretty sure they call them treble bleed circuits, although it seems like a backwards way to say it'd be a non-treble bleed. Maybe I'm still not getting it. At any rate, so got that out of my way. Want to get the pickup out of there, so I'm going to just loosen things up and snip these strings and get that out of the way. So trying to think what's coming up here. By the way, I've been trying to get this video put together for quite a while actually, and I've been experimenting with the speaker or the microphone in my back up here for a second. This is something I like to do to every guitar I get in the shop, which is go through and tighten the nuts, go back and tighten the screws in the back, and then also if there's screws on the buttons, to snug those up. You can kind of set the tension on the button by tightening that in screw. So now I've lost track of what I was talking about before. At any rate, you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just unscrewing the pickup, be mounting the new pickup in their same ring. It didn't have a new ring, and I opted to use the old screws because they're black and they match the ring, and the new screws were chrome. I'm sure a couple chrome screws wouldn't really have made a difference. So as you can see, I'm quite speedy at this. So I popped the pickup in there. I was going to screw it back in, and I remembered I'm going to file the corners off this bridge because right now they're kind of hazardous, and my customer actually is considering playing it without the cover over the pickup, and he wants to be able to lay his hand on that bridge, and that would be quite painful. I still don't think that you can really lay your hand on that bridge because you finger pick this thing, and I think you'd be muting strings quite irregular. It'd be difficult to control that. Anyway, so not wanting to get filings in the pickup, I went ahead and just left it off for this. Then I'll be hitting this with some sandpaper, and you see started out with 150, and I tried a hand signal in the processor to show which grits I'm going to. So I'm going 150, 250, 350, and then I'll be getting into the sanding cloths from Stu Mack, and there's the green, which is the 400, and then there's a gray, which is 6, and then it bumps up to like 1200, which is a blue paper. So I just went up to the 1200, and it was actually shining up quite nicely. So how many fingers did I have up there? When you speed the film up, it's hard to tell. Now we're at the 600 grit, the gray paper. I think I counted to 6 twice for you there. So 1200 and the blue. So anyway, I think I was talking about this microphone. I was trying to figure out how to get a halfway decent sound here, and I was trying to record just with the laptop mic, and I had previously tried to record with my desktop mic, and it just was sounding terrible. And so I bought one of the blue Snowball Ice mics and plugged it in, and it still sounded terrible. And so I've been fiddle farting with this for a couple different evenings doing some testing. So finally got to a point where I realized I hadn't selected the device, so I was still actually just working on my laptop microphone. So if you ever go to a USB mic, make sure you designate which mic you're using. Did a couple tests with it like this. Now the mic's fairly close to my face right now, and I started out with it about a foot away, and I'm probably about 5 inches now. It's quite a bit louder when you're closer, and I felt like I was having to shout at it when it was farther away, and the volume wasn't as loud. So, but I can adjust the volume in the final edit here, and so as you can see now, just resoldering these connections. It was a pretty basic system, and I think I'm at the point where I realize, the ground wire got dropped in the process, so I'm resoldering the ground wire from the volume pot to the tone pot. Now I realize that I've soldered on the wrong side of the pot, so it's a little short. Well, wait a second, did I miss the part where I went and got a longer wire? Oh, no, I just desoldered it. So now I'm going to get the longer wire and just put a new ground wire across the volume to tone pot, and that'll be all nifty. So you can see my method there. And a lot of times what I'll do when I'm just need a blob of solder and I don't have enough hands, I'll just put a dab of solder on the end of the iron before I bring it in, and then when I bring it in, it carries the solder in with it and just has to solidify. Do that again, not solidify. It just has to melt, and then it all rolls together. So we're good there. Once again, my train of thought there was, I'll put the cover back on. Then I thought, well, why don't we find out if it actually works before I do that? That volume knob miraculously appeared. So obviously I'm just sticking all the strings through at one time, and then we'll pull it on over, get everything threaded through the tuners, and you get you a view of that. This is again, I've done an actual little video on how I string up, and so you can kind of see what I'm doing. I just wrap around the post on the fat strings about 1.5 times, put it through the hole, and then just crank it up. As the strings get thinner, I'll just go around the post more times, and then I pull it through. But I don't like holding 2 fingers worth of string out in space while I crank the tuner knob. So this is the way I started doing this quite some time ago, and it's been working out. I'm finding more people online that do this the same way, and I didn't realize it was I'll say common method of doing it. I don't know if it's that common, but it's the way I do it. Alright, so I don't know if I ran over to the amp to make sure it worked in between here or not, but I'll be heading over there in a while, plug it in and give you guys a sound sample. Oh yeah, so I figured, yeah, I'm going to roll the corners off on the bridge. I should at least do the net. And I should have done it before I put the strings on it. I don't know why I didn't, but better late than never. That's going to go through the same process, actually. The same grits of paper. So the 150, 250, 300, and then the 400, 600, and 1200. And I don't remember if I put a little polish on this. I might have put a little polish on it as well. But I'm sure that with what the rest of the nut looks like, just getting up to the 1200 is plenty polished for this guy, meaning the lap steel. All right, we're going to be heading over for a test pretty quick. Sure, you knew you weren't going to get through a video without my ugly mug. So this is the lap steel, Rogue lap steel. Put a Lollar pickup, replaced the existing, which was a replacement, and you saw in the cavity there was just a mess of solder that I pulled out and resoldered the new pickup in. It was a pretty straightforward replacement. Nothing too complex, that's for sure. Yank the pickup out, put the new one in where the old one was as far as the 2 wires. So I'm going to zip you down here, if I can do that. And once again, you know that I don't even know. I forgot. I know I don't have a steel, the regular bar you use for one of these, but I don't even see a slide laying around here. So anyway, I thought, well, it'd be kind of silly to put a pickup in a guitar and not sample the tone somehow, but I don't, like I said, I don't play, so that kind of messes it up. But just a quick recap, if you followed the video, when I had the strings off, I just double checked the tightness on the tuning nuts. I always do that. Just snug those up and then double check to make sure the screws in the back were tight. Then you saw me go down on the ends. All of those screws were tight. I didn't actually tighten any of those. You couldn't tell, I'm sure, when it was video, because without any sound. I just remembered. I might try to do a voiceover, but if not, the whole thing will have just been mined. So just a string through. You saw the bridge, and I rounded the corners on that little metal bridge back there because the owner's talking about pulling this cover off and laying his hand directly on the bridge, and he doesn't want those corners, obviously. Went ahead and also just rounded off just slightly the corners on the nut here. I don't know why every one of these I've had come across my bench, which has only been a few, they're just totally square, and I don't get why they can't at least soften it up a little bit. I know you got a bar and all that, but just in case you hit it, it seems like you'd want it a little nicer than just something that would cut you. So, not very loud. That is a C6 tuning, which I guess from what I just saw online makes that an A minor. It makes this a C triad. A minor triad C. I'm not sure. Quite a few extra little gadgets in there in the tone circuit, as you saw. So that's just with the tone down, tone all the way up. Looked like it had a tone bleed circuit on it, which is actually sounds wrong. It's actually an anti-tone bleed, so that as you bring the volume down, you don't lose any of your high end. That resistor and capacitor that was spanning the little posts on the pot, that's what that's supposed to do. I'm going to turn the amp up significantly. This isn't a very high output pickup, unless all those extra little goodies on there do something to the volume. Actually, I think you can tell that that doesn't muddy up as you lower the volume, and which normally on a regular volume circuit does. So that tone bleed is a good add, I think, especially on an instrument that isn't going to be ran through distortion and that sort of thing. Just because I think you pump so much juice through some of those amps and setups that you can roll the volume back a little bit, although it's a very popular ad for a guitar circuit as well. But when it being clean, I think you really would notice it getting muddied up more so. Anyway, that's it. So it's the Rogue, I have no idea how old this thing is, but a Rogue lap steel. Just put the Lollar pickup in it. That's it. Thanks, guys. Catch you on the next one. Hey, I'm bringing you back in for a second. I need to fess up here. I forgot. I went in and put that cover on. I hadn't set up the height on that pickup yet, and that may be why it was, well, it was why it was so quiet. So I turned my volume back to where I normally run it on here, and I brought the volume up quite a bit. So now I'm just going to go ahead and balance the, let me back up here. If you think about how high the pickup is, or how close the pickup is on a regular situation where you push it down on the fretboard and you got a bridge coming right through here, bridge pickup, it's like, you know, a nickel thickness away. So I'm bringing this up quite a bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure that my treble and my bass side are so it sounds to me like that treble's a bit on the loud side compared to the bass, so I'll bring the bass up a little bit. Lower in the treble side. bass up a fuzz. Lower that treble. And getting that weird little sound on that string now. I don't know if it's to do with the height of the pickup or if there's something else going on, but I didn't notice that before. I don't think that pickup's close enough to be pulling that string at all, magnetically speaking here. Look at that a little closer, but that's good for now on this. Bringing that pickup made a huge, up the height on that pickup made a huge difference.